welcome. Tonight we're joined by Tom Draheim. Um, Tom, you've coached for a long time, so I'm not gonna do the greatest intro. So you've coached. I mean, McNames, you might be better at introducing Tom.
Uh, I'll say this. I wrestled at one time for Tom back in Champ Builders. That's how long Tom was around coaching, right? You was the
Late,
Jesus back in the day, and
late 80s, middle, late 80s.
yeah, we practiced at Jefferson for a little bit. And then over at
You from
Guilford.
where we moved to East High School, up at the gym?
I think so, yeah.
Because is Deadman older than you or younger than you?
Younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think of all the people that I had that came through that, because everybody there was one group there was no other places. We get from Byron, Oregon, Freeport, everybody. That's all it was. Yeah. It was good though.
Yeah, I always talk about that, back in the day, that Champ Builder was like the biggest like freestyle club in the whole area because no one else did anything.
Right. Until he kind of burned some bridges. The guy that was running that when I first came back from school, he was doing some things, and I probably don't need to say the name, but he kind of burned some bridges around here, and even to me a couple of times. But then he kind of left town because burned too many bridges, and that's when we changed it to Powerhouse at East High School instead of being Champ Builders.
Yeah,
but it was still the first one around. There wasn't anything when I was in high school. I mean, not anything.
Yeah. No, it was like when I was in high school, it was the club, kids, Sterling, Newman, Sterling area. I mean, all over. But right. I'll say this: we were at the Freestyle State in Oak Park, and I think it was my junior year. Me and Kelly Hamill, and I was walking out in the semifinal match, and the coach that we won't mention his name was in the corner, and he said, "Hey, good luck. By the way, I have to go."
Right.
So I walked.
Are we talking about the Jesus?
That's
right?
The guy. Yeah.
I don't know who we're talking about. You guys are talking
I know
about
exactly who we're talking about because he got hired. He and I applied for the head job at Hononegah, and he got the job, and I didn't. And I was instantly leaving to go back to Iowa. Tom, how are you?
I'm great. You?
I'm awesome, man. How's it going?
Going great. It's going great.
You look great.
Feel good.
Are you retired?
I am retired, but now I just coach for a living, and I don't even got to get any money.
I do a podcast for no money.
I've heard that.
Well,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
I thought I'd get the check before. Go ahead.
We're reliving the old days when Champ Builders was the only freestyle club, and how the Jesus burned some bridges and
burned some bridges. Some. I rode them to Colorado, and I just met Marianne. We went out to Colorado and back, wrestled on the way out and stuff. I told Marianne, I said, if I ever have to work with this guy, I'll never coach wrestling.
Well, looks like it worked out.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no idea where he's at these days.
He was out he went out to Colorado, and then he was in New Mexico for a while because a lot of guys I play golf with kind of kept tabs on him because he was there for quite a while at Hononegah, but now nobody knows where he is. So he might have passed away. Who knows?
Probably for the better.
Yeah, for sure. For the sport of wrestling, yeah.
I mean, he was good for I give him. I mean, he was good at promoting, so I give him that, I guess.
What's that?
Yeah.
Said he was good at promoting. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I mean, back in those days, he brought that big tournament to the Metro Center. What, the international, whatever.
I wrestled in that one time. I was like, one day I was 26, 28 or something like that. Hadn't wrestled in. I was out of shape, but it was good. It was fun.
All right, Tom, I'm gonna have to call a little BS. I've never seen you out of shape.
I'm out of shape as bad as I've been right now.
That's what retirement does.
Well, COVID kind of put me in in a funk kind of, then I was retired and, just haven't been in different schools. Because I had shoulder surgery, then I had a hip replacement. So all that's come in the last couple of years since COVID, and I just haven't quite got back to normal.
So-
Showing technique. Hold on. I can't breathe. Let me get my breath first.
Well, Tom, I wanted to have you on, and I found out you were helping. You helped coach last year as well, right?
Yeah.
And you're helping coach at Harlem,
Correct.
a school that you were the longtime head coach. You had a lot of success there as a head wrestling coach when I was in high school. So I don't know what the years were, but I wanted to have you on. You were you guys can correct me. Were you the first or one of the first Division I All-American wrestlers?
I don't know if I was the first. I think there was a couple. Leonard Simon, I think, was and I don't know if he wrestled in Oklahoma or Oregon, but he's what I'm thinking of first. But I don't know for sure.
From the modern era.
Oh, actually, I take that back. Greg Evans, Dave Evans is his name. He wrestled
the
with Lee Kemp.
boys from Jefferson.
He was a 2-time All-American from Wisconsin, and he was about the same time as Lee Kemp. Greg Evans, his brother, who was my grade, who I still keep in touch with, he was a state champ from Jefferson as well and wrestled for Minnesota. But I think his brother, Dave, was, I want to say, a 2-time All-American maybe.
Can I ask you a question, Tom?
Yeah.
Did you place in state, or were
No.
you just a state qualifier?
I was a state
Tell us-
qualifier.
Tell us
I
how
didn't
you.
start-
How,
I
tell
didn't
us
start
how
wrestling
you.
until-
Tell us
no,
how
10th
you
grade,
ended up.
Yeah.
Tell us how you ended up being an All-American, because it was 1985, right?
Yeah.
And it was in Iowa City, wasn't it?
And it was in Oklahoma. One of the
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma-
Okay.
You guys won
Okay.
it as a team also, didn't you?
What's that?
Did you win it as a team that year?
No, it was 2 years before they won it. But our group was kind of the group that started that scenario. But I want to say they won it in 88. We got 5th or 6th, I think, as a team. I think.
Now, and you're talking about Arizona State. You went to Arizona State and wrestled there, and your coach was.
My coach is Bobby Douglas.
And
Coach
Bobby
Douglas
Douglas.
was the first black Olympic wrestler for the United States.
Yeah.
Very
Obviously obviously he was also the head wrestling coach for Cale Sanderson at Iowa State. So he's a legendary coach. He's been around forever. He was your coach. So you guys were pretty good team.
Okay, hang on. I got
go
it.
ahead.
All right. How did you end up at Arizona State? You didn't even place in state. You were just a state qualifier.
Yeah.
How did you become I want to know how you became an All-American.
I got contacts.
I mean, it's a crazy. People
Yeah,
don't even
it is.
realize what you did.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I look back at it sometimes too and look at it. I made it to the semifinals of the national tournament. I'm watching tournament time. The semifinals? You kidding me right now?
Right.
Here's my quick story here. When I was young, I played football, basketball, baseball year round. I was good at all the sports. I mean, one of the best in the city, blah, blah, blah. But between my freshman year and sophomore year, we moved from the west side of Rockford, where I played basketball. I mean, I probably had 5, 6, 30-point games in my day, to East High School as a sophomore. And I was playing basketball, but the team was terrible. Coach is nice, the team was terrible. And my brother started wrestling, and after they got to working out, they would come upstairs and run the halls. So he came up, Giardini's, because he was at Auburn when I was at Auburn for 1 year as well. So when I came, he also came over, but he come down and started joshing me about basketball and playing this and playing that. And I was always good wrestling, like in the neighborhood, in the backyard. But I went to my brother's first match. They wrestled Rochelle, I think, or something. Shit, I was on the edge of the mat just freaking. It was all intense. Damn. So next week I started wrestling. My mom and dad weren't too happy, but in hindsight, the best decision I ever made. But then I've always wanted to go big time, whatever sport it was. I played football. I like to play football. I actually had a recruiting visit to Iowa with Roxback, which is more him, but small schools, Augustana, North Central, that kind of stuff that wanted me to play football. And I wanted to go. I went to visit the schools and wasn't what I was looking for. So I had a friend of mine who wrote some letters for me around, and a junior college from Arizona called me. So I started talking to him and people out there. I said, what the hell I qualified for an Olympic Training Center, big tournament. So I went to there and took a bus there and took a bus to junior college and started wrestling there. When I first started, yeah, it was kind of weird, but up and down in weight classes, and and even these JC kids were pretty. I mean, it was good JC. They got when I was there, we got third once, we top 5 twice, but there's some good kids there. But the first year, and I worked a job. I'm away from home, and I did okay. Wrestled a lot of matches, 67, qualified for the JC Nationals, no big deal. I don't think I won a match maybe. My sophomore year, well, the year before, the job I had was in the admissions office. So I'm working in the admissions office, going to practice, and there was another kid that was working for our coach, kind of helping his classes. And, I said, I want to do that the next year, because after they got done, or he would help them, they'd have lunch, they'd come back and work out. Well, my coach was, Gary Keck was his name. He was a 3-time All-American, NAIA. I don't know if he's a national champ or not, but he was like 28 only, young, pretty active. And he'd kick shit out of everybody. He'd take you down, he'd stand over you, wait for you to get up, wait put you down. But so the second year, I worked for him, and that's what we did. We would go lunch, we'd come back and hang out, and then we'd go wrestle for an hour. And by the time I left the junior college, I was standing over him, and he was 170 pounder. But I always said if I got a half ride, I'd go to ASU. Well, I was an All-American my second year, and ended up going to junior Pan Am games, and getting around some more people that were good and that international level. And then ASU offered me 50% ride, so I said, all right, let's go. Because we'd have preseason tournaments. They call it the Arizona Triple Crown. We have Greco one week, freestyle next week, and then a folk style tournament next week. And then based on your points for the weight class, you'd win, belt buckle or something extra besides, just win the tournaments. So I won the Triple Crown. But the year before that, I wrestled 2 of his starting kids, and I beat the starting 58 pounder, and I lost to the 67 pounder by like 1 or 2 in a preseason tournament. So I think that opened his eyes a little bit. But then that year when I was All-American, he offered me a little bit of money. So it was my room. My coach, my room got better. You wrestle against better kids. You either get your butt whooped or you get better. So, I mean, when I got to ASU, that's a whole nother thing. My wrestled around with, national champs, and, my roommate was a national champ. Just the people that are around there used to get better. Kenny Monday was there my last year and a half. So, you can't take somebody down, and you get better. You just get better. So, being an athlete and being exposed to good coaches, I guess that's how it happened. But I worked my ass off. I made a lot of road miles, a lot of workouts. I did a lot of shit by myself. So I don't know, just outworked everybody, I guess.
Well, like Marty said, that's just an interesting story on how you got to that point.
Yeah, I mean, not placed at high school. I mean, I ain't saying I probably should have, but not really. I mean, I was 2.5 years in, and a lot of kids weren't wrestling as much like today. Today's kind of crazy, but even then, it was more experience than I had. So I wrestled a couple more years, probably placed at state. I thought I could have that year, but should have, would have, could have, because I was undefeated until I never won conference. Hey, share your story. I got pinned in the conference finals. I was 27-0 and got pinned in the finals. It kind of caught me. The kid was decent, state qualifier, and I beat him next week in the sectionals. But
well. And what years were you in high school?
I graduated in 80, so 79, 78, 77. Basically, a long time ago, before they had cars. Before they had Walkmans. Walkman.
Did you ride a horse to school like Marty did?
What's that?
Did you have to ride a horse to school just like Marty, or what?
Well, I had to hitch a ride with the horse.
Yeah.
I walked up a hill down to school and up a hill back from school.
Well, I did walk to school both ways back then, but yeah, it was a lot of walking. Not many new cars. Yeah, I remember gas at 33 cents. How's that?
That's a good price. So when did you come back to coaching at Harlem?
Oh, when I came back, I coached at Northern for a year, a grad assistant. I wanted to coach at the collegiate level, and I had some offers when I left. Adams State and Alamosa, Colorado, they used to be NAI real good, and I was almost ready to go there. And like a week before I was getting ready to go to Colorado, I get a call from Northern. Why don't you come help? We got a grad assistantship going on here. I was, oh shit, I've been home in a long time. We'll see what's up. So instead of going there, I went here. And then first semester of coaching there, I blew up my knee. So that kind of kept me out of school for a while, and had to drop a class and got a bad grade in another class because just wasn't there for a while. And then I had to get my grad assistantship back. So what are you gonna do now? Because I like coaching, but I had to get a job. And I had a non-teaching degree when I started teaching, but I was coaching and I was working. And you start working, you can't get to practice. Get off work to go to practice. So I was missing that, and I said because I went back to teaching so I could coach. So I went back to Rockford College, got my teacher certificate, and got married within a year after Northern scenario. But kind of life got me into staying here, which is cool. Turned out good. But then I started coaching whoever gave me a job. I needed money. So I coached with Jimmy Powell at Auburn, with Tyrone Fambro wrestled for me. And I think I was there 1 year, maybe 2 years. And then went to Jefferson because I was coaching football and track at Jefferson. So next year they opened, so I went to Jefferson. So I was at Jefferson with Rick Schmitz, Bay Tamarath, and Marvin Leslie, and some of those guys a couple of years. But then my kids were starting to grow, and I got out of coaching for 5, 6, 7 years. I was going around to different places periodically and helping, but I wasn't coaching at all because my kids were little. It was kind of hard to justify. But I said, if Harlem opened up, so I always wanted a one-horse town. We won school, got a feeder program, got a middle school program. And so periodically I'd show up to Harlem because I worked out there. But job opened up. And then after that, then I was at Harlem. I'm trying to think when I started Harlem, but I want to say it was early 90s, I don't know, middle 90s. I can't remember. But when Cal and Brad and Sadell, all those guys, they were in middle school, I think 7th or 8th grade, maybe, when I got up there. But I had all those guys. I had Cal in 2nd grade. I had a lot of those kids, just teaching from school. But that's all I did up at Harlem. It took a while, but did the freestyle stuff for quite a while until can't remember when. But then I was at Harlem till 08. Then I was at Boylan, I was at Belvedere. So just coaching,
Yeah.
Just going to where the kids are at.
Yeah.
And a lot of you guys know my nephew is the Harlem head coach. Jake is my nephew.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we were at the conference meeting. I said, so we opened it up. I said, Jake, go get that job. I said, I'll come help you. And shit just worked out like it was supposed to.
Yeah. And now you're helping out at Harlem. Right. And the season just started on Monday. So what can you tell us so far?
I think his future's so bright. He needs to wear some shades. He's in the school. He's a good kid with the kids. He's good with them. Typically, we got some stuff switched around with our kids club. So, and I think we had over 40 kids in the room today. That's pretty good. We're kind of young. I think we'll struggle probably this year or so. But you see, we had preseason. Between the little kids being in there and the big kids being, it was packed, and it was good. It's been a long time since I've seen the wrestling room full, so it might take a couple of years. But just with the numbers scenario going up, but him being at the school, I think I think his future looks good. Kind of hard to. We don't have anybody at any kind of upper level, but we have some decent kids, and upper levels they'll come. You build it, and they'll come. So we don't have the 3 that Honeyneager getting, and those guys are gonna be a pain in my neck for 4 years. But we'll have
not many people have that kids walking in right now.
Imagine having the 3 of them all 3 of them for 4 years could.
Yeah.
I'm not saying win it every year, but I'm saying they'd be right freaking there.
Yeah, don't forget that they also have a junior. Yeah, so Honeyneager is really good, but I think everybody's pretty young, right? So that's is that true? I know Donald Cannon and the heavyweight, what's his name? From East.
Yeah.
Those guys are the seniors, right? Those are juniors or seniors.
Yeah.
Right. As I get older, you start talking about the other kids. I'm not very good with names. I don't remember names a lot. I remember faces and kids, but I don't pay a lot of attention to probably the last. Because I watch my kids or good kids, or I get bored. I don't even know who's on the other teams. Kind of the kids tell me who's on the other team. Who's that? All right, what's he? He's good. Well, all right, he's good. Let's get after him.
Yeah.
So when the kids start throwing stuff up, they all know more about who's where and who does what. And I barely remember. It takes me half a year to remember all my kids' names and who's good.
Well, that's the miracle of the internet now and blogs out there and rankings. And you talk to a kid, they know someone from, 5 counties away. Oh, this kid, man, he is.
I know.
Well, who is it? I've never seen this kid,
Well, he's really good. He might be real good.
There's a kid back at East, and God, he might have been around. Man, I can't remember his name, but we used to nickname him this newspaper.
Oh, right. And they're kids like that. They'll be like bracket. There's bracket guys, bracket wrestlers, man. They got the brackets. They know everybody in the bracket.
Oh yeah.
And that guy I wrestled him last year at Kids Club, and he wrestled this guy, and I said I never heard of him. I don't know who it is. Got him scouting out. You show up, just wrestle whoever shows up. Who cares? Just do what you do.
What do you think? You mentioned it a little bit, but what do you think the biggest changes have? What are the biggest changes that you've seen over your tenure of coaching?
One that's starting earlier. I mean, I think it's a bad thing that there's so many kids wrestling one sport, not wrestling, but just doing one sport. I don't see the multi-athletes out that I used to see, which I think helps the team more than, you can have your 1 or 2 studs that are going to be, I want to go summer tournaments, I want to go here, I want to go there. But you also, the rest of your team, their best sport might be football, but he's a wrestler. His best sport might be baseball, but he's a wrestler. You need those kids. And I think there's more access, but I think the kids are not as tough either as they used to be back then. Just society's made a little more soft. And wrestling's not easy. I mean, it's probably the hardest thing you ever do in your life. But I think the kids are a little softer. The ones that are good are really good, and they're good young. I mean, I'm going to even like the kids' state tournament down at, when I started coming to Metro, or start going to watch that level for the first time. And we're not talking about even middle school kids, but young kids that are doing stuff like, holy smokes, the technique of that kid. I mean, it's amazing. But more opportunities for the kids, and a good part. There's more access to it. Good part. Bad part, kids are society a little softer than before. But
well, you said what I was gonna say is you said that you guys at Harlem doesn't necessarily have any of the maybe the nationally ranked, nationally competitive wrestlers this season.
Right.
So how many have you seen come in from other sports, say football and soccer? So
to our Harlem program, or in general?
Yeah, just Harlem program.
Well, and that goes. I don't know. Their football coach just got fired. I don't know if you know that or not, but he wasn't. And I don't really know him. I didn't say didn't hear great things, but he wasn't a promoter for wrestling. And it's 2023. If a football coach this day and age doesn't understand the combination between wrestling and football, he's killing his program. And he was. I mean, everything you do. Yeah, if they're not playing basketball, it's skill position. I mean, the football players, it'll make the football team a ton better. I mean, everything that we do. I mean, the offensive linemen. I mean, just intensity, just everything. That hard work, and so hopefully that scenario will help us a lot down the road as far as because I'm already going to try to put my word in. I mean, I don't know how many years ago, but within the last 5 years, University of Iowa, their whole front line were state wrestling champs at heavyweight. I mean, it's writings on the wall, and you got a coach in high school that, let's go lift. You don't need to go and wrestle. It doesn't make any sense. But hopefully we get a football wrestling type coach who understands, and that helps the room, because the numbers did go up. I don't know how many from football, but the room was more, and I think since he got fired, I think we added a couple more since then also. So we'll see if we get any more this week. I'm thinking we're going to get a couple more kids too. So I'm hoping to have, 50, 60 kids in a room, 70 kids in a room. And that football joins that program that we can have. So, I mean, back in the day, we had a freshman team, we had a sophomore team, a little bit of JV team, and a varsity team. So now we can barely can't even get one team together.
Yeah.
So I think with the football program helping, and it's a high school, you all got it. Everybody's got to kind of work with the other. And the best all-around athlete is always a better specific athlete, almost always. So if they're involved, it'll help us a ton.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is what you said. The program, I would say that football programs might not quote unquote tank if they don't put their kids in wrestling, just because it might be in an area where it's overlooked whether or not they're actually successful or not, or maybe successful in their situation is qualifying for the state tournament or something like that. But it really hurts the individual, don't you think? Like, not the team might still be able to kind of, I guess, continue, but individuals, like in the football setting, would get a lot better. I was talking to a kid that was an offensive lineman, and I was like, I'm 140 pounds and I could out hand fight all of you. And that's not a good sign, right?
Well,
like,
but we didn't have when trying to think of who's wrestler noseman for Belvedere back in the day, who
Rob Anderson.
Right. And they're kicking kids' butts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's freaking slow lineman, but by the time he even got off the ball, he's freaking already in the gap.
Yeah.
And he's a tough kid. Shit. He weighed 130 pounds.
Well, Dalton's brother, Zach, was started nose his senior year. And I think, what did he wrestle at? Your
119, I think.
119, I think. Yeah, back in L.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
That's right. I mean, it just makes it a tougher kid. I mean, there's no way that you couldn't.
Yeah.
Nobody
Well, last week, Marty did a great job explaining the intensive components of wrestling and what it does to people and how it permeates into your personality. You become a real fighter, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, and that helps any competitive outlet. So.
Well, that's like, because your mind is a powerful thing. You get kids to run through a wall. I mean, you got to make them believe in themselves. I mean, but that's all right here, and to have them in life, it's all right here too. You got to convince them to see. I mean, you're your own matrix. I mean, you decide what's up. I mean, you got to, because everybody's got that mind in the back of your head. When you ever talk to yourself? Not talking, but that's your subconscious talking to you. I mean, everybody's got that, but you got to give it good feedback. You can't give it bad feedback, because it'll take whatever you talk yourself right out of it. But to convince these kids, or over time, 3, 4, 5 years, I mean, the tenacity or the discipline or whatever it is involved in this sport will, I mean, way through life will get them further ahead. I don't care if you're state champ, not a state champ, but just involved in getting people thinking positive and, about anything, whether it's wrestling or whatever thought you have. I mean, there's two ways to think, good and bad. I mean, if you can get them convinced, even if you don't believe it at first, you start to say some positive things, some reinforcement stuff. And we do a lot of, and more, but mental imagery. I mean, kids believe. I mean, you got to let them think about positive stuff. But that's in life too. So all our stuff carries over, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Wrestling is that tool that helps train your control over your mind.
Right. Oh, good. Right. Your mind's got to finish your body. It can still go.
Yeah. Marty, so
what are you drinking out of?
That's my Bubba. Goes everywhere I go.
That's awesome.
That's how bad I need it now. Now I got to put it right by me in the restroom, so I got to need it right now. I put it up on windowsill.
I don't want to ask what's in it.
Yeah, it's just water.
Yeah. Marty, give me some experiences that you remember coaching against Tom.
Well, no, I'll tell you, the first thing ever is when I just became the head coach, and he was running the freestyle club down at Jefferson High School, and I would load anybody who wanted to be in my car, and we would drive down there, and we would go for, I think it was 2 years, and it was awesome. I mean, he's a hidden gem in sporting. I mean, how many people don't place in high school and become an All-American Division I? Why don't you maybe do some? I should research that and see how many. It's a very small percentage. I mean, and everything you're saying, Tom, is you're spot on right now with our society. It's just like, too many kids want to be single-eyes in sports. I mean, you want to have all those kids that are great athletes and get them into wrestling. I mean, it's the toughest sport there is. I'm totally
But
impressed.
again, we should emphasize this, because I think this is always an important thing to emphasize. If a kid wants to emphasize one sport, I think it's important to let that kid do whatever that kid wants to do. When it comes to a football player who wants to specialize in football, if they're not wrestling, they are compromising their football.
Right.
So it's always important to understand that specialization. I specialized since I was in 7th grade because I hated team sports. I was a little guy. When I was on team sports, they treated me like a little guy. I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, so I said, I'm out. Wrestling was my control. Not one person got to control my outlook on competition in wrestling, as long as I could beat everybody up. But I think in football, and specifically, if you're a football player and your goal is to be the greatest football player you can be, even if you're not wrestling as a workout, you're getting worse as a football player. It is hands down the best physical development tool there is, and obviously, professional football players are utilizing the developmental aspect of it. So
but some of the times those kids, they don't know. They're high school kids, and they got a football coach that's over here telling them, there's kids and they're getting steered the wrong way. And that's the sad part about it, that the kid, he might even think that he should, but you got a football coach telling him, you got to get in the weight room. You got to get in the weight room. So, it's a sport. So what's he going to do?
The most influential person in athletics is an adult. And usually it's an adult coach in some form of sport. And if that adult doesn't steer somebody to another sport, then they're never going to do it. I mean, who in the hell would come home and go, Mom and Dad, I think I'm going to wrestle. Right? Unless Dad had wrestled or somebody in the family had talked. If some person doesn't know anything about wrestling, well, they're not going to wrestle unless somebody else is in the sporting, like the football coach, the baseball coach, whatever, says, you know what, you should try another sport. You should wrestle. Wrestling's, it's not on TV a lot. It's getting way better, but the whole sport is driven by somebody who knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. And the problem, it's not a glamorous sport for people who are wrestlers. They don't like to get bloody. I can always remember guys walking out of the practice room. I mean, you're sweaty, you're bloody, and you look at the basketball players who just got done, and they got a little sweat, but it's like, man, no one understands what it means to be in the room and to compete individually and push your body to that limit. And I'll just reiterate, you hear too many football coaches, not just single football coach. Oh, you got to be in the weight room. And these kids like, what are you doing this winter? Oh, I'm going to be in the weight room. No, you're not. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to yourself. You'll go in that first couple weeks, and then winter break comes, and then we'll see you maybe March again. So you did nothing to get better. You got worse because you just sat around.
Yeah, they got fatter.
Exactly. So at least go practice. Go to wrestling. Hey, maybe you never get a chance to compete, but be in that room and learn. But it's tough. And here's the other problem. I see it all the time, now that I'm still teaching. I'm not in that retired men's club yet, but kids like easy now. Kids got too used to things being given to them easy. They don't like to work hard.
What's the sense of getting
hard work is, man, and it's not all kids. It's a smaller percentage than what it used to be. You know, those blue collar just run through the wall. Man, those kids, you find one, man, you got to latch on because that kid he's a team builder for you. You know, a program kid, man. That's who you want to model. But all these other kids, man, they want it given to them right now. I've never wrestled before. They lose their first match. Oh, screw, you know, this is too tough.
Right.
It's sad.
One thing I do think though, it does seem like you guys know the quote, hard times make strong men make hard times, or strong men make easy times make weak men make hard times. You guys hear that quote before? Either way, it talks about society and a cyclical cycle of like, you know, technology makes things a little bit more abundant. More abundant means a little easier. You know, all these things happen to the human condition. That's
the whole society in America right now.
Yeah, but it does seem that there is a desire that is coming back to the combative world, right? Like I think the combat athlete is the most popular athlete in the world right now, you know, and I think that actually is indicative, or it's a sign that there's a wave of people who are looking for the hard route, the path least taken, right? I think that there's a large contingent of people, and just talking to or listening to Tom, you said you guys had the room was bumping. You guys had 60 plus or 40 plus high school kids. It was kids packed in the, you know, youth and high school levels. I saw a picture from Belvedere. They had 60 kids or something like that. You know, I saw pictures from Hononegah. They had some a bunch of kids. So whether or not those I mean, obviously I started this whole thing because we didn't have enough really elite level ones, right? Like wrestling was losing its luster as far as like, oh, we know we're going to go to the state tournament. We got 5 guys that are going to compete for a state title or something. You know, because of that, it seems like it's coming back around. It seems like there's a new opportunity that is upon us. So I could be wrong, but I mean,
but I think MMA has helped a ton as far as getting kids, you know, whether they think it's cool or not. I think it's helped, you know, more than a bit. Plus, a lot of them that are good are, you know, past wrestlers. That's their background. So I think just mentally, but now in too many trophies for too many people. I get why should I try hard when I get the same thing guy gets first? First guy goes, why should I get first when I get the same thing fucking first guy gets? So nobody does it. But
well, here's the thing. I'll say first place gets a whole different experience, right? So I just saw the college wrestlers getting signing. You know, everybody was, you know, signing to the college. It was college signing day if you weren't paying attention. And multiple.
Or the death day.
What's that?
Or the death day.
Yeah, not a good day for some Iowa kids.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Today was that day. I just read that. We could get to that. We could jump to that next time.
That's next week.
Yeah, next week we'll talk about
you still got to come to terms with it, Marty.
It's a gambling stuff.
Yeah.
It is. I'm not. It's, you know, I don't even want to start with it. It's not a coming to terms. It's what the NCAA is. I mean, it's all. How do you even comprehend when kids have all this NIL money and they have nothing to do with it, and they go out and do that, and then all of a sudden it's just a state of Iowa?
I know.
I mean, it's just mind-boggling. I'm done. Well, we'll talk about it next week.
We'll talk about it next week. But going back to that, first place is not getting the same as last place. There are kids that the best kids in the country are now getting not just scholarship, but NIL scholarship on top of that. So there is an opportunity. There is a unique difference between being the absolute best and the average, which is changing.
And nobody relegates the NIL money. That's a problem.
Yeah, regulates it, you're saying.
Relegates it to whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Horrible thing for the young.
Because it's really still nobody's getting the money. It's just, you know, you got a few people, but what about the offensive lineman who, you know, you get
Tom, just think what you would have got. You took 5th in the country. they would have given you down in Arizona State. They'd have probably given you $100,000.
No, the move would have been to transfer to Iowa.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
6 years, 7th year.
Hey,
Eighth year.
How many years they get to do this shit now? 5, 6? He's a
Hey.
6-time All-American.
Marty, was that a dig?
He's a 28-year-old freshman. What?
Marty,
Got a service, man.
was that? Do you think the transfer is a dig at Iowa, or do you think it's a compliment that they get to snatch the All-Americans off the open market?
Well, look at it's Michigan, it's Penn State.
Hey, I'm just saying.
I mean,
Yeah, no, it's to a point where it's hard sometimes to watch it because I feel bad for these kids because they're given all this money. And I think the thing at Iowa is just, and Iowa State, it's somebody in that state just had an issue with them. Don't start me now.
Okay. Well, we'll keep out of it. But
look, I'm going back at it again one more time. Okay, so the NIL, it's just a hard thing for kids. There's a lot of kids that never had money in their life, and now there's money thrown at them, right. Tom? Just think of what you would have been like then. I mean, just think right now.
Been nice to get, instead of my $550 a month stipend, I thought myself been nice to roll up in my Jag instead of riding my bike. Shit, my senior year,
I don't know
3 miles to school, 3 miles back for lunch, 3 miles back for practice, 3 miles back home on bicycle.
But it was
the NCAA is totally responsible for it. They
government, man.
Again, guys, we got to make sure we remind ourselves. One, the wrestlers are not getting Jaguars quite yet. The football players are.
That's what I was saying. You got one guy getting all big money. I mean, what about? There's 90 scholarship athletes out of Division 4.
Well, again, I think you don't recognize the ancillary income that other guys will be making, right? So obviously the big name athletes will get a lot, but there's so much more exposure through the internet, social media for all the other athletes to, I guess, ride the wave of the big brands like, Big Ten, Pac-10. What's Arizona go to? They went to Big 12, right?
Oh, yeah, I think they switched when everybody switched just recently.
Yeah, they're Big 12 now.
Big 12.
So all these schools are connecting. They have big brands and maybe the quarterback gets the most money, but there's a lot of opportunities. And as far as Marty's concerned, high school kids that get a lot of money, right? That is hard to think about as far as what they should do as far as maturity standpoint. But I could say the exact opposite. Kids like myself go to college and take on debt, and that's an astronomical amount of debt, and we don't have any clue.
I think
that's
every
the
person
government
we were talking to on this podcast had debt.
No, but you don't know what you're doing when you do it. So you're still not fully understanding like the ramifications of everything, right? So if you give somebody 100,000 or you take 100,000, I think you're still going to make mistakes along the way. Some people are going to have good people around them to figure it out. And that's all you hope for.
But here's my thing real quick. And I've argued this with other people. So these guys are going to, let's pick Iowa. What's the tuition there a year? 50, 60? I don't even know. You're getting a free education, right?
Yeah, how can they justify that?
You're getting a free education. So you're getting $200,000 right away. Then you're going to get this other money. If you don't graduate, you should have to pay something back.
But
there should be some incentive to graduate.
But who's
too
getting
many of these guys jumping? Let them pay it back. I mean, I didn't get to go to school for free.
Who's getting the $200,000?
Anyone that a kid who's on a full ride scholarship, they're getting a free education.
Yeah.
I mean that equates to, like, if I'm paying for my daughter to go there, it's going to be over 100, almost $200,000. Right?
Student debt is America's. Their largest asset is student debt loans. That's how messed up that is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
If
somebody are defunking on them too.
Well, I don't think that's allowed.
Yeah,
but-
how they justify? I mean, one, how they justify $50,000 a year. Also, my daughter just got done. She was going to play soccer at St. Francis. She was a scholarship, but you get a thing. It says 49,000 a year. Come on, 49,000 a year.
Yeah. Well, again, we can uncover or jump into this topic. I would love to have a heated debate on this because, I mean, again, like you just said, there's so much to it. But I'm pumped about the NIL. I'm pumped that athletes are getting money. I'm pumped that the college coaches don't have the control over the athletes that they used to because of the transfer portal. I love wrestling. Wrestling seems like, to me, it's in the greatest spot in the history of wrestling for the athlete. And I think that's a good thing. And
To that run athlete, you guys see the money that Olympic wrestlers get, as opposed, in the Olympic committee, when you get a gold, you get like 10,000 like that. But every sport has their own organization, and you see the money that wrestling has created compared to everybody else. So on top of the money they get from the Olympic committee, USA Wrestling, 250,000 for a gold. I think it's 75,000 for a silver, and like 25,000 for a bronze, and that's on top of the medal money you get from the USA Olympic Committee. But that's far and away above, way more than any other sport as far as what their organization gives them.
Right.
The thing with that is too, which is awesome, is that there's so many countries that, like Iran, Russia, all those Middle Eastern countries, that's their national sport. They're like professional athletes where they are. They're starting to get it to a point where these guys are professional athletes, and we're starting to kick the shit out of everybody else now because these guys are staying around.
yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Do they, how much does the veteran Olympic champion make?
They probably don't get shit. And I'll let you know.
You got to pay for the other
months,
guys to compete.
I'll let you know, 60 and above.
You're going to go wrestle?
I've thought about that for a lot of times.
Hey, I'll be your corner man. I'll dry you off.
How long would it take
Don't
you?
let that guy do that.
How long would it take you to kind of get into like, how far are you away from, maybe if you wrestle every day, like if you wrestle one day, how many days do you got to take off?
6.
I do a whole lot today. I haven't wrestled hard for a while because I haven't had anybody to wrestle with. Plus, I had shoulder surgery, so I haven't been in shape for 3 years. But I don't know how long it would take me. By the end of the season, I could be in pretty good shape, probably.
What do you weigh?
About 175, 176.
So if you were to wrestle anybody in the area, who would it be? Do you have anybody you want? Did anybody that's around the same age that you think you could compete with?
Anybody my age?
Yeah.
That wrestles or doesn't wrestle?
Yeah, I'm setting up the old timers tournament. I'm trying to set up
guy
the
my
main
age.
event.
That takes somebody. That takes somebody pretty badass. I don't see very many 60-year-olds that can do a whole hell of a lot.
I'm 60.
I just turned 61 last week.
We got about
folks. I'm 60, but no, I have no shoulders.
How much do you weigh?
I got them both fixed.
What?
How much do I weigh?
Yeah.
I weigh
Yeah.
I weigh a little bit more than I think.
That's
Same
all you're getting from
weight
me.
class as Tom. We could put this together. This could be the next podcast.
I wrestled 158 in college.
I probably had more matches at 167 in college than 158.
Yeah, I was a 58 pounder at Loris.
Yeah, that's really what I was. But I had a lot of matches at 67 actually.
Yeah. Well, so I'll let you guys go. We can finish up here. If you guys want to finish up on any interesting stories or ideas that you want to talk about, let me know.
No,
I was glad to have you guys on.
I got all kinds of stories, but
yeah, Tom, you can definitely come on again.
Oh, you can totally come on again.
Yeah.
You got this figured out. Yeah, so we
right,
come on here and chat for an hour and we look forward to
wrestling forever,
the season. So
yeah, you can talk wrestling forever. you know, when you get around somebody that wrestles, you just like known them forever, man. Oh, really? Yeah. I can talk wrestling anytime.
Well, we will we'll catch up again. Good luck with the rest of the season if we don't talk to you before then, but hopefully we do.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll
Good
see you guys.
talking to you, Tom.
All right, guys. You guys have a great night.
Yeah, you
Bet
too.
you too.